Do you want to just go through who's on the virtual call, or do you want to have them do?
Yeah, I think we'll have everybody do introductions since it's our first in person. Everybody be aware, we are recording the meeting.
So you want to do the in room first? Let's start out.
Thank you, Mike.
I'll be like the waiter and wait till your mouth is full and then say, excuse me, sir, can you introduce yourself?
Oh, am I supposed to start?
Yeah.
Well, I'm Michael Bean. I work for the county office of emergency management.
Dean Berenbaum, I work for the County Office of Emergency Management and the LEPC coordinator.
Coordinator for the Adam Tip, I guess.
Brevin, I work for All Energy Partners. And Tony Johnson, Holly Energy Partners, pipeline tech too.
Alan Wiesmeyer, industrial chemicals, Star Nevada. Randolph Jackson, a new board member. I'm with Leominster.
Bronson, and I'm the OEM for Amazon.
Dave Johnson, CSP has.
Brazen, I work for the Colorado Preparedness and Response Network. It's a nonprofit for oil and gas and first responders together.
Mark Schumann, Adams County Fire Rescue.
County Department, ECR. Wendy Cologne, I'm the emergency manager and the director of the emergency department at Flat Valley Medical Center, and the new board members.
And if we can go to the online people, Stephanie, do you want to start us out? You're muted.
May have to unmute her since Mike muted.
Oh, wait, how about now?
I can hear you. Yep.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Good morning, I'm Stephanie Hackett. I am the emergency manager for City of Brighton and for Brighton Fire.
Thank you. Brenda?
Hi, Brenda Lenz. I'm with EnviroServe.
Neely?
Morning, this is Neely Duran. I'm the damage prevention liaison with Colorado 811.
Who do we have? Lutz?
Yes, Gerard Lutz with Brighton Fire, Deputy Chief of Operations.
Thanks, sir. I see an EMAD. I lost everybody's first name, sir.
Emily.
Emily. Is she muted? She turned that thing off. Check and see if you're muted, Emily. I can't see right now.
She's not.
She's muted.
No,
No.
she's not talking.
Okay.
All right, and let me interrupt one second. Yeah. Everybody, just so you know, Mike put a link in the chat for sign in. So if you would all please do that sign in, that way we can record that you were present at this meeting. I know a lot of people will need that for their reporting. So please sign the link in the chat. Or if you're in the room, be sure you did sign in on our physical sign-in sheet. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. This is going to take a couple of minutes because we got quite a few of you. Thank you for coming into the meeting, either in person or virtually. Brianne.
Hi, Bree Boxstaller with EPA. Sorry I couldn't be there. I was planning on actually being there in person this time, but maybe next time.
Okay, thank you very much for doing the virtual. Alex.
Alex Schick, Environmental Health and Safety Supervisor with Veolia, Hazardous Waste Treatment Storage and Disposal Facility in Henderson.
Thank you, sir. All right. Where are we at? David.
It's Mr. Grazzetti from Homeland Security. Good morning.
Brandon.
Good morning, Brandon Lindrink, Aurora Office of Emergency Management.
Thank you, sir. Danny Knudsen.
Dan Knudsen, Civitas Resources.
And I don't see any more names on my screen. It says 14 participants, and I don't know whether, did we get 14 there?
Those are 14 more.
14 more. But are they on the phone or?
They're all on Teams.
Okay.
So we can pull up.
Yeah, if you can pull them up. This seems kind of silly to go through one by one, but
So these are all. Kirk just joined you now.
Matt, are you there? All right, we'll go with Kirk Dominic.
Okay.
Hello,
You're there.
I'm here. Kirk's here.
You want to introduce yourself just real quick?
Yeah, this is Kirk Dominic from Commerce City OEM.
Thank you. Who's on there that we haven't done yet?
Underneath the county.
Matt.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Matt Matravich, Homeland Security.
Did we already do you, or we got two Homeland Security people here today?
You got two of us, unfortunately.
Oh, funny person and two Homeland here. Good, right? Good deal. Yeah, I knew he was here too, but, can you scroll down a little bit more?
Yeah.
You've gotten all of
I think
them.
that was everybody.
I think. Those.
Yeah,
Carl Smalley.
he's not on. It's
Not on?
just, people
Okay,
that were
I
invited.
just accepted. All right. So did we get everybody? Is there anybody on the virtual call that I missed?
Yeah, this is Adam Craich with COGCC.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes.
And that's, COGCC is, oil and gas, yeah.
Yeah, Oil and Gas Conservation Commission. I'll be taking over the emergency management responsibilities from Mike Leonard.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you all for attending. Thank the people in the room, especially for coming in and enduring the weather and the crappy roads. Thanks. Yeah, I guess we'll just go down. Dean, do we have minutes to approve?
They did, yeah, I sent out, I think we had 1 minute to approve that was, November 2022. And I sent those around to the group.
Did anybody get a chance, did everybody get a chance to review the minutes? And if so, can I solicit a motion to approve? Who was the second? Is this the board or is this the whole group? This is the board, right?
That was the board, yeah.
The board has to. Is there any board members that object to approving the minutes? We have a quorum? I think we do. Yeah, that's the one. All right. Hearing no objections, we're gonna call the minutes approved. Thank you very much. Legislative regulatory updates. Do we have anybody in particular that's doing that?
Any regulatory agencies or anybody involved in any of the bills before the state or federally?
I just mentioned that there's a bill on the docket right now that it's going to go into effect January probably, but it requires notification, public notification to be sent out in multiple languages. That's going through right now. It's being looked at by the county commissioners, not our county commissioner, but the entire spectrum of county commissioners through. They're going to go ahead and be on board with that, but it's going to require that it's based on demographics and percentages of that demographic within your county. You'll have to prepare public alert and warning messages to match that demographic. I don't have the exact numbers, but that goes over the house right now.
Thank you, Ron. Any other regulatory updates for you? I was gonna ask you, so.
Yeah, no, I was gonna, I don't have a lot, unfortunately, from the EPA side. We're waiting to hear anything on the SCAP, the RMP adjustments or proposed, looking at some of those different things there. So I'm still waiting to hear from headquarters. I know the FRP for chems to water, the Clean Water Act hazardous substance worst case discharge planning regulations, that long mouthful, that just underwent option selection, which is basically part of the process, just kind of the final cut of, hey, this is what it's going to look like. That's going to go through the Office of Management and Budget. Knowing how the pace that things move through federally, they hope to have something signed by the end of the year, but not being a betting person, I don't know if I'd put money on that. So, we'll see. I know something will need to be in the works before September of 24. So, right now the RMP, the any changes there is kind of the biggest thing that we're looking at. We're still working under the RMP reconsideration. So a lot of those timelines for exercise planning and things along those lines for facilities are still holding. We're just waiting to see what the final look would be for, part of like the safer technologies and those type of things. So that's, as soon as I hear, I absolutely will forward that on to everyone.
Since I have you here, any news from East Palestine?
That's ever changing. I know the response, the Region 5 response team, they have their like a website that they update pretty much daily at this point. So, I don't think there's anything terribly new. I know, the Regional Support Corps, Response Support Corps, they're looking to staff people through June. Hopefully they won't need that by then. But just working on trying to clean up and getting, people back to where they were at.
There was some talk of proposed legislation coming out of that or revisiting proposed legislation coming out of that. Is that still something that they're talking about within EPA?
And that's, again, that's a headquarters level thing. So that's what I would call above my pay grade. But no, certainly if there are things tightening up, I'll definitely let you know. We have not been passed anything to pass on locally.
Okay. I don't see it happening very quickly, but I know DOT will probably revisit it with the rail.
And that's what's going to be interesting. That may come more from the transportation side of things. So, I don't know how much leverage we would have necessarily, but certainly be interested to hear. We definitely have an ear to the ground. What may come from that.
Thank you very much, because it's one of those things I think probably, I'm guessing a year, 14 months from now, there's probably going to be some lessons learned that the LEPC could certainly take advantage of.
Absolutely.
I think that's an incident that can be transferable to pretty much anywhere in the United States. So lessons learned should be also transferable, I would think. So.
And, I just sent out the quarterly newsletter on Friday afternoon. So I know UP and BNSF, those are the two main rails in our region. So they're really stepping up the type of training that's out there. I'm hoping their involvement with getting some of the commodity flow studies out to people. I know, there's been a lot of turnover, I think, within UP. So, finding some of those contacts for a little bit was a little difficult, but hopefully that's changing a little bit. Definitely a time to look at how rail would affect the locals, and we're certainly pushing that. I think the response itself is dynamic enough that we're still working in that phase, and I don't think we're quite to the lessons learned phase, but I think we'll be talking about this for a while and see what we can learn from there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially for the fire service people in the room here or online. I know that the facility down in Pueblo is gearing up, ramping up, and soliciting students to come down there and do some more of the rail training down there. Mark, what's the name of that place in Pueblo?
CertSeed.
CertSeed?
No, you're right. They still call it TTC, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm stuck with. So.
Yeah.
Like I said, I know they're ramping up and they are asking for people interested in coming out and doing the training. I think that still would be coordinated through the state, if I'm not mistaken.
If they're Department of Homeland Security sponsored courses, yes.
Okay.
The railroad will pay the tuition for folks, is what that last email said.
Yeah, and it's funny because being in the hazmat response business here in the metro area, it seems like They're in our backyard, but we don't send a lot of people down there for whatever reason. I don't know why, but it seems like there's a lot more people coming from out of state than there are coming from in-state. Has been my experience down here. All right, anybody else? Legislative update? State, local, federal, county ordinance? Nothing? All right, Dean, you want to talk about the visit to EnviroServe?
Sure. In February, on, I believe it was the 7th, sorry, of February, we were invited to EnviroServe to their facility in Commerce City and had a great field trip. We had about 7 of us attend, and very much thanks to Brenda and the crew there, because they also provided lunch, and it was a very informative tour of the facilities. They have a number of different trucks and units out there for all sorts of environmental hazard cleanup, and talked about that capability to some degree with us. And then we got to actually go out in the garage area and look at their vehicles and kind of learn what the capacity and what type of waste they can pick up, which sounds like it's pretty much everything. Did anybody else have any other details or anything you wanted to add on that? We do have contacts for EnviroServe, which they provided us. So if anybody is out looking for an environmental cleanup company, definitely talk to EnviroServe.
Brenda's in the call, she isn't.
Yeah, Brenda, do you have anything to add?
I just wanted to add, thank you for stopping by, and we're always eager to show our facility is a 5S facility. So if anyone would like to stop by and check out what equipment we have and what our capabilities are, just let me know. Just send me an email and we can set something up.
Yeah, and I'm not very techie, but if you want to describe the vac units that you have there, they were pretty impressive.
Yes, we have a hydrovac, we have a ring vac, we have another regular vac truck. So that type of equipment is really easier to explain and show in person. And then we can have some of our guys, get in there and show. Also the water trailer response unit we have at our facility in Commerce City, and we have some roll-off trucks and roll-offs that are available. So I'll put my email in here, and we'd just be happy if you could set up a time to stop by.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Brenda.
Yeah, we sure appreciate the look around. Yeah, they had a full boom truck, for water response. So looks like a lot of capability there. It was we were all PPE'd up to go into their back area. So it was exciting, and we appreciate being able to get out and kind of see things. If anybody else has a facility they want to share or a tour, we'd love to schedule those in instead of just having regular meetings, especially if it would be informative to the LEPC and the community. So I think we can move on to the next items, partner updates.
It's is Katie doing Adams County or checked out? But are you going to talk about Adams County? Anything doing exciting there? Okay.
Hi, Katie Keith, Adams County, environmental programs. I don't really have too many updates. We are working with the Adams County Health Department, the Love My Air program, which is now going to be called for our cohort, the Collaborative Local Entities Air Network, so CLEAN, because it's no longer Love My Air, that's a Denver title. And when we applied for the grant, it's under Tri-County, and since it's not just Adams County, there are locations in Arapahoe County, and we're hoping to continue expanding it. We wanted something that was not just reflective of Adams County. And so that air monitoring network, it's PM 2.5, but we will be getting sensors that allow for NOx detection as well. So we're hoping to expand it by at least 2 to 3 more networks. And what else is going on in the county? We are looking at doing some text amendments. We have requests from local oil and gas operators to utilize their well facilities for crypto mining operations. And so, since the county doesn't actually have that as a designated use in its land use code, we're going to be amending our development standards and regulations. So right now we're in the outreach phase, hoping to speak with emergency responders as well, fire protection districts, to identify what some of the safety hazards could be and what we need to include in those regulations. So how it works is they direct gas from the wellhead to condenser, so they do have to remove some of the water. And then that feeds, instead of going to like a lax unit and a midstream line or gathering line, it feeds a generator and a natural gas fired generator. And then that's what fire power sources that they have on site. So I would recommend that if anybody has thoughts on that or would like to participate in those regulation amendments, to be considered an accessory use to an oil and gas site, please send us an email, get in touch. We do have that on our website. So that's about it, really, for updates.
Brenda's blinking. Is that me? She?
No, it's just,
Okay.
oh, you can mute.
Have you guys gotten anything that Dean sent out, the notification on that battery, production manufacturing company that is gonna be taking over the old?
So that is in the city of Brighton.
But-
And so they did reach out to us. Right now, they're looking at that location. The Kmart facility is located within a planned unit development, a PUD. And so typically with PUDs, they have a plat, and then it allows for particular uses within that subdivision or planned unit. And so right now they're looking at amending the PUD, allow that type of industry. They did ask if there were any studies or additional would like them to conduct as part of their application process. So if there's anything you can think of that you would like the company to provide as far as being able to assess perhaps what are the public health, safety, welfare, and environment hazards, I would definitely help you pass that along to City of Brighton.
My guess is that there will be some input from some people, some groups. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, there is it proposed or has it been approved? You know?
Oh, it hasn't been approved, right?
Hasn't been approved, it's
It's not even Amprius Technologies applying for the permit. It's,
Okay.
I don't know if it's a representative or some other organization that's looking to amend the PUD to allow for that type of heavy industrial use.
There's a company that wants to build the lithium-based battery production company, is my understanding, in the old Kmart distribution center. It's 775,000 square feet. So it's gonna have quite an impact. It plays into, of course, the need for lithium chemistry batteries that are used in electrical vehicles and hybrid vehicles and all of this stuff. So I don't know exactly what's involved. It is in Brighton. What's that?
Gerard loves some. Brighton Fire.
Yes, from my understanding, they are coming in here, and I know our fire marshal, Elizabeth Bernardchek, has been working with them. You know, still in the very early phases about bringing it up. It's supposed to happen in phases. You know, they're going to start with much smaller production, you know, using a portion of the building and then ramp up from there over the next few years. So, you know, we are years out from it being in full production, but from what I understand is they want to start limited production possibly by year end. But again, our fire marshal, she's been in contact with them to coming up, you know, bringing the building up to code to where it needs to be.
Thanks, Chief. Certainly, if there's anything that you guys need from the LEPC, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm sure that there's gotta be some level of chemistry that's being used that's gonna be on a tier 2 report, would be my guess.
Right.
So
I will pass that along to our fire marshal, and you know, as I said, I know she's very heavily involved with them coming in town, but I will pass that along, and I'm sure she'll be in contact.
Okay, because where I see the LEPC coming into play initially is probably maybe some public information distribution, helping kind of answer some of the questions that are going to pop up from homeowners associations and things like that. I think this is the prime conduit to be the mechanism by which people can ask questions and actually get answers back that don't seem to be slanted one way or the other, hopefully. Because I know
And
sometimes.
Glenn, just to throw it out there, I do know that our planning commission has started scheduling some of those meetings with some homeowners associations in the area as well. So I know that those requests are at least happening, are starting to happen around now.
Fantastic, Stephanie. Again, don't hesitate to reach out to the LEPC if you need support from us or if you need us to do something as far as research or anything else. You know, we can go statewide, we can go nationwide and find other examples of similar businesses if we need to and try and answer some of the questions that come up.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Add on a couple things.
Yeah.
I'm still here. I know you didn't miss me.
It said you left.
How did I leave? Just a couple of things to add on. So that facility in Brighton, there is another facility in Thornton that's been in operation for a while, the lithium battery. It's been operating for a while, so comparables. The smaller facility, this thing they're looking at in Brighton is going to be one of the largest facilities, if not in the state, then maybe even in the country. A little bit bigger scale. Additional things, Suncor was trying to come back online. I don't know if they came back online fully or not. I haven't really heard. Is there anybody on the call from Suncor?
It's all wrong, had to step off.
Yeah, so I don't know where they're at. I know they were bringing things up in phases. But they were scheduled to come back online this month, this being the last week of the month. And so I don't know where they're at, if they're coming up all the way or if they're still phasing that in. But anyway, they should be on their way to full operation here shortly if they're not already in that position. And then the last thing I want to talk about is Xcel Energy is proposing a hydrogen blend facility to be built. It's not really a facility, it's a storage facility. It's a demonstration, they call it demonstration. So that's kind of an experiment. That's the word for experiment in my mind. So they're proposing that. They're going through the process now. This facility will be located in the Box Elder area, which is off of Highway 7 in that area from there. On the eastern side, there's a subdivision of about 200 homes there. The Box Elder consists of about 200 houses in that area. I'm still getting information on what this hydrogen blend thing is, but from a novice viewpoint, it's basically blending hydrogen with natural gas. And they'll blend the hydrogen with natural gas and that'll be pumped in to the natural gas system for those homes that use that facility. There'll be a storage tank that will contain hydrogen on this location. So that'll be out there in that area. Again, they want to demonstrate or demo it for about 2 years. And at the end of the 2 years, I think they're planning on tearing it down and just using the data they collect. I've got a phone call tomorrow, I think at 11. Did you get that, Keith? So we're on a phone call tomorrow. They're just in the beginning stages of it, starting to make proposals with VOCC and with our planning department, first responders, figuring out what kind of training first responders might need for this kind of facility. But anyway, we don't have an opening date. We don't have a time window right now. I think I'd like to move before the end of the year, but that may not be feasible. I don't know. But anyway, so that's coming online. So we should see that if it gets approved, we should see that in the near future.
Yeah, and I can speak to a little bit about that too. Both Elizabeth Bernardchek, the fire marshal, and myself did have a meeting with the Xcel Energy about the project. It's going to be at 160th and Hayesmont Road, down basically a half mile or a mile from our fire station out there in Great Rock. It's to do the testing. They're going to go from, I believe, 2% to 10% hydrogen injection. They don't expect any hazards. As you stated, there is going to be a tank out there and the little injection facility. They can use it. They picked the Box Elder Creek because they can do it as a closed loop system, so they can collect all our data. And from what I understand, it is going to be a 2-year project, so they can do that to see, it has to do with reducing greenhouse emissions. And they do it other places around the country, and it's been fairly successful. The only hazard is that hydrogen does have a pretty a wide range for flammability. So, but they don't expect that to be any issues. They have monitoring systems. They'll be watching the system very closely. So we have been in contact with them. Their next contact is also they have to meet with the homeowners in the area to let them know of the process. I believe they're going to do that April timeframe. They have a public meeting so they can start the project. And from what I understand is they want to start the project this year as well and get it online fairly quickly. So yeah, know a little bit about it again in our fire district. So they have kept us informed.
Thanks, Chief. Katie,
Yeah, I brought it up with the planner too, that we might want to get E470 or maybe hazmat authority involved, because I don't know how they're gonna be obviously they're gonna transport the hydrogen because it's not located near a rail line. So I just assume that hydrogen, that's compressed gas. I don't know if that would be allowed on E470 or how they're gonna be bringing it to that location, but it might be something to consider.
I don't think 160th is really the only.
Yeah.
76 to 160 and out.
so they'll be starting the process.
They're coming from the south, they could. I don't know what the transportation is to the location, but.
So more to come on that. We go through the process and with the various governments that are involved as well, and the fire response districts and those entities. I mean, there'll be more to come, I'm sure. We just asked, just keep the LEPC advised of any potential hazards or anything that might come about. I'm sure those will be addressed in public hearings and public meetings, town halls, and so on as well.
All right, will do.
Thanks, Chief. Anybody else on those topics? All right. Ron, do you have anything else to add, County? No. No? Lisa, Adams County Health Department.
Health department is up and running. The environmental health team, they're doing their routine inspections and along with emergency complaint response. You need to get a hold of environmental health after hours for disease outbreaks, restaurant fires, environmental concerns. Please dial 303-220-9200 and then select the appropriate prompt. For emergency preparedness and response, my emergency number is 21637. 1637. If anything large happens or requires EFSA support. The water team is up and running and they will be hiring a specialist just to coordinate on PFAS and groundwater contamination issues. And then pressure loss emergencies and freshwater supply systems. The child care program will be implementing school chemistry inspections again, chem labs. We did that 8, 9 years ago. Long time ago. So they're looking to get, they're looking to get back into schools. And the emergency preparedness and response program is currently hiring for 2 positions. A senior planner and a level 1 planner, so please send those my way. And that's pretty much it for us.
Thank you. What you're talking about with the school chemistry in Colorado, there are statutory laws that have restricted chemicals and prohibited chemicals for institutions of, what do you call them, lower education, elementary, middle school, high school. Are allowed to have some chemicals in their chemistry programs, or not allowed to have other chemicals. And then they have some chemicals that have a restricted quantity. It's kind of a one-time use quantities in their labs. And where that came from is over the years, a lot of the high schools primarily, but a lot of the high schools have accumulated quantities of chemicals that actually were dangerous. And some of them were, because of age, became dangerous.
Or even storage properly.
Yeah.
Mess.
There's really very little as far as requirements to be a science teacher. I mean, the teacher credentials are there, but to be a science teacher can be the same guy who's teaching driver's ed or PE or whatever, may or may not have any chemistry background. So what we have found 25 years ago was that, there were a lot of schools that had stuff that was 20, 25 years old, that crystallized. Storage was done in alphabetical order rather than chemical properties and things like that, that were just disasters waiting for a place to happen. So that has transpired, as Lisa said, I think it was probably 9 or 10 years ago, we went through all of this, so it's due again.
It is due again, but just remember, if you're called out, and I guess this is mostly for fire, a permit is required to blow things up. So I think it usually happens out at Flag Rock, the training center, but state would like a permit request.
Yeah, the bomb squads know that. I mean, what happens usually is the fire department will, there are certain chemicals that detonation is the preferred method of disposal. Because they can't be transported or because they're unsafe to transport.
Stable, yeah.
So they will generally call the bomb squad. The bomb squad gets an emergency detonation order from the state health department. And if they can transport it safely in one of their bomb containment vessels, they will sometimes do it. Otherwise, they blow it on site, which may mean, calling the road highways department or something and bringing in sandbags or something and building a little containment. And then they just blow it up. But it does require an emergency detonation order on behalf of the bomb squad from the state. So if you guys run into that, Veolia, you guys see, you were online, weren't you? You guys take some explosives.
Yeah, we do have a reactives team, and we have remote opening equipment, and obviously there is some stuff that we can't take, but we have a lot of special permits to try and get stuff safe to be on the road, and we can help out with emergency treatment permits from the state also.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate it. Okay. Other local agencies. Nothing else from emergency management on? Stephanie, do you have anything else? Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, but nothing's coming to mind right now. So I think we're good with updates. Thank you.
Thornton, Northland, Broomfield? No? Commerce City?
No updates here. Thank you.
Pittsburgh?
Can I just add real quick? Hey Kurt, over the weekend, I got a call from one of your police guys about a hazmat. So they called me. We didn't get back to them on a timely basis because I didn't get the page until later. Just letting your guys know about who does what as far as hazmat goes and those kind of things. They might just need some education on who does cleanup and all that. I don't remember exactly where it was at, somewhere in Commerce City. They called us to notify us, which is fine. But I just want to make sure that they were aware of the process and who actually takes care of that.
Is all of Commerce City South Adams? So you guys do all of the incorporated?
Hey, Ron, for notification, do we now just go through the Adams County Health Department? Is that where you want them to call to make like a release, hazmat release or anything? Not call your office anymore?
Yeah, they can call us, but initially it's gonna have to go to the health department, usually environmental, so that number that Lisa just gave out, is probably the best emergency number, that environmental.
The 9200 numbers.
Yeah, I think, one of the issues, I don't know if it was heading towards water, if it actually got in water, or what the deal was. But, yeah, probably, when they notify us, health department always sends us a spill report anyway, so we get that notification.
Okay. Yeah, we'll work through the health department then.
It's Lisa.
Sorry.
Anybody else? All right, local chemical facilities.
Hey, Glenn, sorry, it's Dave over here involved. I couldn't unmute soon enough. Probably the biggest update for Well County I wanted to share with the group. I know I sent the information out to Dean last week. We are hosting a Cameo Marpot 4-hour class next week. Registration closes today. We are still needing at least 1 or 2 people for that. Real good class, kind of talking about hazard analysis and how to import Cameo chemicals or tier 2 reports into Cameo as well. So that invitation's opened up to those in Adams County who may be interested in taking the class.
What's the location?
Well County admin building, 1150 O Street. Yep, really.
We prefer to say north, really.
That?
We prefer to say north.
All right, anybody else? Oil and gas.
Yeah, so CPRN stage is super busy. We had a little change up in our board of directors. Our Civitas resources rep is now Lisa David, in charge of their safety program. And then our chairperson this year, and I guess they're gonna do 2-year stints, is gonna be Ken Merritt from Williams Rocky Mountain Midstream. So we still have the same reps from 2 divisions of Chevron, Oxy, PDC, and Bayswater. And we continue to have our bi-monthly meetings, our stakeholder meetings, the 3rd Friday. We had one in February, so April will be our next meeting, 3rd Friday in the mornings. We just finished our job aid, so we do an oil and gas 101 class for all the firefighters and government agencies that work around or in the DJ Basin. Our job aid just got complete. I'm gonna start having that printed and then we'll have that out. We'll have several copies of that if you guys want some. Our contact card is done for the DJ. We finished that last year. I have a couple copies of that. So most of the oil and gas, the big ones that you might encounter in the DJ are on that card. There were some concerns on our security subcommittee. We call it the Energy Critical Infrastructure Protection Group. We work really close with the kayak and law enforcement and sheriff's offices that are out in the oil field. There were some concerns about this How to Blow Up a Pipeline movie that's come out. I guess some undercovers and some security professionals went to that screening of that last week, and they said it's not as detailed as they thought it would be on how to make a bomb, but obviously with that message out there on domestic and environmental terrorism, unsettling. And I guess there's a book too. This is based. Okay.
We encourage people to stand by and watch it for a while.
Yeah, Google it. I wouldn't give them any money, but it's kind of like the arsonists. I wouldn't buy their book. I might buy a book about them, type thing. But that's out there, and law enforcement knows about it, kayak knows. We had a really successful wild well control incident management class, so all the major emergencies that would happen, the oil field fire and explosion. We bring wild well up from Houston, Texas, and it was a really good class, and we'll probably have another one at the end of the year. We have a really good relationship with them now. And then we are still kind of researching the best industrial firefighting classes with Chief Summers at Suncor. We have a contact down in the Corpus Christi area. So it looks like with our budget this year, we'll probably be sending firefighters from this area down to Texas to take those classes. That they can beef up their skills on industrial firefighting. And then don't forget, we have the Clean Waterways Conference. It's a really good national and international conference coming up in Denver in mid-April. We're doing a presentation, but there's also a lot of good training at this particular one. So I think it would benefit both the private and the public side. That's all that.
Mark, are you dialed in with him as far as the training exercise committee is concerned? You guys get notifications of some of the trainings that they're running?
No, but we can do that.
You're on my mailing list for the meetings.
Yeah, so I'm on, Michael and I are co-chairs for the North Central Region Training Exercise Committee. So some of your trainings we can put out to our group as well.
Yeah.
And that pretty much touches all of the fire departments within the metro area, the 10 counties. 10 counties. 10 counties.
It seems like all of our training, like the oil and gas 101 classes, our fire foam class. Oh, and I should mention, we're gonna test some more fire foams, non-PFAS fire foams this spring when it gets warmer. We did that a couple of years ago and we published everything, put out YouTube videos. But we have some new products and we have that F500 encapsulating agent, some other things that they want to test. So Civitas Resources, Danny's on, Mountain View Fire, Chevron and us, the nonprofit, we're all gonna get together, do that in one of the training facilities, test foam again. So.
Okay, yeah, because if you guys can stay in touch or get them in the loop, because what you just described there, it would go through Mountain View Fire, it would come through Boulder County Hazmat and come around that way, but it would impact the hazmat teams more than it would. The notification would come to the hazmat teams more so than the fire departments, and it really is one of those things that it's a fire department issue more so than a hazmat team.
Yeah, I mean, we were very well county centric because 87% oil and gas is in Will County, and then we snuck in Adams County, thanks to Dean and the LEPC here. And now it seems like we're doing training with fire departments in the western part, like Broomfield, Lafayette, or even Boulder. And we're doing more outreach as we come down the east side. So we have, we're talking to the Aurora, LEPC, Aurora Fire Hazmat, that kind of thing. So yeah, whatever we can do to get the message out and get as many people on the trainings.
And I would say from the other agencies, and this is not just government entities, but other agencies. From what I saw, I'm not doing grant review this year. Maybe Mark, you can comment on this, or somebody online can comment. From what I saw, there were very few projects that came in that were training exercise projects, and very few projects that came in that were infrastructure projects. Have you seen projects that came in for either North Central Region or urban area security?
Yeah, so there weren't a whole lot of training specific. There's the standard training thing that the NCR just kind of puts money aside, a little bit out of the exact content training. Very few infrastructure. There were a couple of your normal trucks and that, Bearcats and all that. It came out. Wasn't there a hazmat thing as well that came out?
Yeah, North Metro put in for some instrumentation.
Yeah, sell some hazmat, a couple of hazmat things. But not
Denver helped put in for some air monitoring.
Yeah, some elementary tubes. Yeah. So I guess what I would encourage is the Homeland Security funding is not limited specifically to government response entities. Anybody who is in need of training, need of infrastructure protection, need of Some of these other projects and programs are certainly eligible to put in a project, and if you have questions on how to do that, contact me or Ron or Mark. We're all three pretty intimately involved in the Homeland Security side of things of the North Central region. So like I said, I would encourage you, if there's something that you're looking at, it won't pay for salaries, it won't pay for some of that stuff, but it would certainly pay to host a training or to bring in outside instructors. It has to be for the good of the region and not just necessarily for the good of your company, but certainly I would encourage it, because my personal feeling on this was that in the last 4 or 5 years, the quality of the project requests has gone down substantially. And I don't think they're necessarily addressing some of our biggest needs, which are infrastructure, cyber, some of the stuff that the outreach is just not apparently hitting there, or it's kind of lost its charm. You've lost some of the shine.
They boosted up the cyber, obviously, because that's become a big ticket item. But just to give some background on that as well, there are over $9 million worth of projects submitted for the NCR UASI grant cycle this year. However, the NOFO, the Notice of Funding Opportunity, only covers about $4.5 million. So you got $9 million of project submittals for $4.5 million pot of the money. So obviously not all those projects will be submitted. The way that works is the individual subcommittees within the NCR and UASI submit a project. There's a review committee that reviews those and scores those projects based on certain criteria. They get listed in a priority, if you will, based on their score. And then we'll have a meeting, we'll go over and we'll finalize the priority list, the IPL priority list. And then those projects that are above the cutoff line will be funded. Those ones that are below the cutoff line normally will not be funded unless something changes in the amount of money. But that's kind of how it works. The meeting to finalize the IPL will be second week in April, I think. We're gonna have that meeting.
And we're always a year in arrears, so they're working on the 2023 grant currently. 23 grant, which will be funded
at the end of the year.
Yeah, will be funded at the end of the year, which means you won't see anything purchased wise until early first quarter of 2024. And about that same time, they start working on the 2024 grant, if it's still funded through Congress. So think a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, maybe some of the projects that can be useful. So that's something that can be worked on. I would say, like I said, if our corporate partners or NGO partners, I would certainly encourage you to get involved in that if there's things that you want to have done. All right, state of Colorado. Anybody here from the state? Federal partners, free, I think you're the only one.
What? I know the Homeland Security folks are on, but since I'm here, I'll already jump in and start. Like I talked about earlier, I don't have any the regulatory updates. So certainly, as any information comes down the pike, I'll be absolutely. You guys will be the first to know of anything like that. What we're looking at right now is trying to gear up some of the training that even we can offer from our side of things. Again, even though we don't have the details on RMP, we can still talk about one of the items that really has gone through the reconsideration and would still be considered with any of the proposed ruling, with the facilities working with locals and, conversely, locals working with facilities, just really trying to bridge the gap with, anything along those lines as far as letting industry know, hey, here's kind of what we're looking at, just to make sure as we're coming down at the end of 24, there should be the notification drills, and then full scale exercises should be planned by 26. So definitely, as we're kind of gearing up on some of those things, we want to make sure that people are aware of these, deadlines, and the fact that no one's kind of caught by surprise, or, any onus on any one entity. So that's what we're trying to look at, how we can kind of get the word out. I know we had a couple of my colleagues from the office had a great conversation with Dean at the end of, I think it was December. Time flies, but that's what we're, trying to look at as far as if exercising plans is needed. Obviously, with Adams County, since you have a very robust program, you're deep with emergency management, those type of things that I feel like you guys are very well on your way to a lot of those things. So we're just from our regional office trying to see what's the best way to help if trying to develop some sort of exercise together. I know our management was very keen on that the first 24 to 48 hours it seems like our entities have that response. We have fire capability, everyone's a well-oiled machine, but it's within that week getting people back in their homes. What's required if it's air monitoring, are those some of the skills that we have developed, or is there kind of a vacuum of knowledge there? So that's what we're trying to investigate. I think we're seeing some of that after even the train incident is, when is it safe to go back into your homes to kind of release people, that type of thing. So those are some of the things that we're trying to explore right now. We certainly look to you as with Adams County as partners if there are ideas, even if maybe perhaps your program has capabilities. If you're seeing some of your neighboring counties or colleagues or things like that, if there are areas that we could help with, we're certainly open to ideas and suggestions or things as well, because I know we're kind of all in a partnership here. So kind of high level, what we're looking at, we want to also reinforce the value of the LEPCs, across the board too. I know, again, you have a robust LEPC. I wish all the counties in Colorado were working like you guys, but, certainly as we can kind of share that information. I was looking at with the RMP program, it looks like there's 13 RMP facilities within the county. So, that's what we're trying to look at too. We were thinking, trying to develop a quick 90-minute, 2-hour sort of webinar type of thing. Typically we've worked with state entities before, just trying to get, kind of tying in the tier 2 reporting and some of the federal reporting. But I think from our region, we wanted to have just kind of a quick look at some of the RMP requirements that are coming up. Also give time to the TRI folks just to talk about their program. And then even our enforcement program to go in, and we had a workshop in South Dakota about what to expect when you're inspected. So to give industry folks just kind of a, hey, if EPA enforcement is on the ground, these are what we're looking for, can we head off problems, those type of things. So, we don't have a time frame just yet, but looking to develop that this year. So again, welcome any suggestions or anything along those lines. I know David from Weld County mentioned they're hosting the Cameo class. Again, if that's something that you're not able to make and you're seeing a need for that, certainly let us know, because we do have some contractor monies to develop something like that. I also know in the latest newsletter, there was a couple of classes. EPA Region 1 was also hosting a large class in May virtually. So, definitely all options if those are needs as well. The regional response team, that is, I don't know if anyone from the county is involved with that, but that's typically the state entities and other federal organizations. They meet twice a year. That workshop/conference is being held April 11th at our downtown office in person, in conjunction with the Clean Waterways that was mentioned. So, again, another plug that if the Clean Waterways something is to, if you have opportunity to attend, there's a ton of great resources, presentations, and those type of things that week as well. Looking at the last little bit of my notes here. The next Western Regions Conference is coming up in 2024, January 24th and 25th in Clark County, Nevada. I know previously, Dean, I think you've sat in on those in previous years. It's been typically kind of CERC-TURC level type of conference, but we're looking to open it up to our LEPCs. Again, being one of the larger, well-run LEPCs, we definitely value your experience and, things that you can pass on to different partners in our region. So we'll certainly pass on information as we know more about that. I believe with all of that, that are the updates I have at the moment. So if there's any questions, I can take those. Otherwise, I'll pass that on to Homeland Security.
None from the room, any from online? No, apparently not. Thanks, Brianna, appreciate it.
Great, thanks. Appreciate it.
Homeland Security, anything good? No? Sure. Send it in, don't send any of it back in. Yeah. Anything from the kayak? I know you are kind of not involved in kayak, but yet you're affiliated with. So,
Right, no, nothing major,
okay,
nothing going on.
nothing going on?
Yeah.
No specific threats or hazards that we know of that are chemical related? All right.
Your friends will.
Do we have anyone from SISTA online?
There's a lot of rumors.
Yeah. That would be a huge mistake. Huge mistake.
Just like when you did that last week.
All right, any other reports from partner updates? Any corporate stuff?
You know, I meant to jump.
Hey, go ahead, sorry. Go ahead, Brianna.
No, sorry about that. I meant to jump in because I know no one from this the CEPC was on, but I know I'm part of the planning entity for the LEPC conference. So it looks like it'll be starting that. I think it's the 4th or 5th. It's whatever day after Labor Day back up in Breckenridge. They have all that signed and we're developing the agenda right now. So stay tuned, but at least, to be able to narrow down those dates, that's forthcoming.
Hey, put in a good word for us because 2 slots from the Adams County LEPC is not enough.
We'll take that up with them. Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Thanks. Go ahead, sir.
Most of our updates were before COVID. Did complete solar power on both of our buildings. And even though we don't have any sensitive equipment that needs power constantly, we did it more for sustainability. And that way, if the power goes out, we have power for security of some of the things that Homeland's concerned with, and we have lockdown in cages and video surveillance type thing. Upgraded the whole electrical system on our older building that was 45 years old. So all that was done right before COVID. Right now, the industry is kind of slowed down. It was coming out of COVID. There was a burst. I think a lot of people were filling their pipeline, so to speak, but right now, the last month, it's kind of hitting the skids as far as raw materials that our 900 customer base that it needs. That everything's just kind of slowed down and grind, not to a complete halt, but definitely slowed. So I'm not quite sure what the whole economy and all the different industries that we cover, but it seems to be a general slowdown. So.
Anybody else? Thank you. Are we on continuing business? Is that where we're at?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't up to there.
Any sort of reporting tier 2 stuff?
Yep, I do have some. I'll have to change my screen here briefly. You keep changing it. Oh, I'm on Mike's.
Mike, I have my report on that computer.
Oh. You're gonna be able to do that?
You just won't get notes, but that's okay.
All right, Dean Albright, what is the screensaver there?
That's Mike's.
Lord of the Rings.
All right, Mike, is that Lord of the Rings?
So let me put this back.
Yes, that's the inscription of the one.
Is that the precious?
Yes.
That is the precious.
Not impressed, don't get him started. What ring is gonna do? He speaks elfin, so,
Technically, that's written in book. But I do have it memorized in black speech, but that's for another time.
So
we'll save that for another day.
Yes,
Okay.
the after party.
Dan Lower got it written. Did you see the agricultural?
let's see if that comes up.
USDA, yeah, local USDA. Yeah, I think with all, he just came out like last week, the draft designations all came out too, yeah.
You won't be able to share that because you're not on the Teams call on that computer.
Oh,
Do you want?
well, I'll just read it out.
Well, you can join the Teams call if you want.
Okay, then let me,
Here.
hold on, I gotta get to there.
Wait, it's right there. Yep, click on the Teams. And now just hit join.
Yeah, but how do I get it to share my screen?
Now hit join now. Okay, so. And there's the share screen button. There you go.
Yeah, but I have it up. Because you told me in the middle of my doing that I didn't have a chance to share that, so. Okay, does everybody see my screen?
You have not shared it yet.
Why not? That's why. I
Yeah,
hit
we're
share
not
button.
seeing it.
No, you got out of sharing, so you've got to hit share. Now click your PowerPoint.
How's that look?
There it is.
There it is.
I can see it on your other computer now.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
We'll figure this out. Who needs IT?
All right. So each one of these is a separate report. So on the 2nd of February, Sandy Creek Road in Commerce City, head-on collision.
Can you guys hear him online?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
We're
can.
good.
Okay, thanks.
So you can read the slide as well. I won't read the entire slide to you, but basically 110 gallons of diesel spilled onto basically onto the ground and the roadway. There was no impact to the to any waterways, and then hazmat contained that. And on the 7th of February, and I'm going back because of the last report was in January, so trying to catch everybody up since then. On 88th Avenue in Thornton, we had a caller report that a mobile home park, there was a leaking sewer line. Basically, apparently 1 million gallons of water was leaking every month, or being used every month. So that must have been leaking out to the sewer system, or just, coming off of their water use meters. And they've had a number of reports. Nothing seems to have been done that was reported to us. Then on the 27th, we had a sanitary sewer overflow of 50 gallons. It was a break in a line, and that was isolated and shut in. On the 1st of March, we had another sanitary sewer overflow. This was a malfunction of a sewage force main. So that was 10,000 gallons of raw sewage, and that apparently went into the Platte River. So if Health Department has any other further information on that, feel free to chime in. Also on the 1st of March, Mobile Home Park was doing their annual cleaning of sewer lines, spilled 100 gallons. That's been repaired by the city of Thornton. And then on I-70, we had on the 1st of March, an accident. Truck saddle tanks got ruptured and released 150 gallons of diesel onto the asphalt. Did not make it into any storm drains or waterways. On the 2nd of March, First Creek clogged sewer line resulted in the backup of 10,000 gallons of sewage to First Creek. That release has also been stopped. and it was contained, and they're calling, they called Custom Environmental to do cleanup on that. We had another spill of 25 gallons of diesel. That was on a parking lot, no storm drains, and EnviroServe came and cleaned that up. We had 32,000 gallons of undisinfected treated wastewater. Basically, there was a power outage. The facility basically didn't realize they were releasing this water until they caught that and diverted that. So that release is not continued.
Hey, Dean, I'm just curious, what is undisinfected treated wastewater? Where does that fall in the process?
I'll defer to anybody with greater knowledge on the water treatment plant
Because I thought
process.
treated was disinfected, but apparently that is not the case.
It may be that I don't know what their particular process. I've seen some of the smaller water treatment plants and the water is treated and but it may not have been chlorinated and
Okay.
made ready for drinking water or for release if it was going to be put back in the system.
Okay, thanks.
Stephanie, that would be my guess, is that it had gone through the flocculant stages and the filtration, but not yet chemically treated.
Okay,
Would be my
okay, that
guess.
makes sense. Thanks.
What's that? It's the last step, yeah.
So I just want to keep moving. Looks like there was a leak on a pump in a distribution system, basically released somewhere between one estimate I got was 32,000. This one says 1,500 to 3,000 gallons. And they're kind of checking, it went down to a storm drain and to a pond. And they're checking to see if it would need to be, if any further actions would need to be taken. And then Suncor Refinery, I just kind of have a list. They've had their plant down. They're restarting the plant. And so they've had a couple of, little burps and things in the process. There was a small leak. The refinery had shut down earlier on, and in these restarts, I think that they've shown a little, a little higher level of flaring and so forth. None of these things that were reported to us had above the air monitor detection levels, meaning the air monitors that are surrounding the plant did not pick up anything being released as a result of those. And that is the report, unless anyone has any further questions on those.
We got a page just the other day about some kind of a pipeline leak or something out east. Release some natural gas. Some kind of a plume that people were reporting. I didn't get any other calls than the page on that, so it didn't fire anything. It was a facility was shut off. But they had some alarm last night too. People were reporting this plume out there in the Eastern Pond.
So should I plug this back in there?
It's up to you. I can just take my computer back.
All right, anybody else have anything on the tier 2 or the spill reporting? Questions? No? Dean, do we have any reports from the board? Any committee reports?
No, I did not, get anything from anybody on the board.
Okay,
I did make a little note on there to remind people that we have gotten our tier 2 downloads from, for Cameo. So if, fire stations, fire departments, want to get a copy of those, tier 2 reports, I can send you, a zip file that you can download into Cameo if you're using that. And, just give me an email, or a call and I'll get those out to you.
request for site visits. It's kind of self-explanatory. If anybody wants to invite the LEPC out to site visit, welcome to hear that. Any old business? You answering questions in the chat?
I'm just putting, my info in the chat. I did not have any other old business.
Anybody else in the room have any old business? Anybody online, questions about old business? Right, new business? Katie, was there anything else?
One thing I did forget, I think, actually just didn't mention, CDPHE has a new, mapping. Online is GIS mapping, and I can put the link in the chat, and it identifies, all the facilities that have, air permits. And so you can look, around the state, but you can look by county. And if you click on the location, it pops up with a direct link to that permit in their Highland database. It's just a lot simpler than actually doing the search function in that database, because you have to have the terms like almost exact to find what you're looking for. And they also have it overlaid with the identified disproportionately impacted communities in the state. So you can actually select 4 facilities that are located within those communities and find out the name of the facility. They don't tell you if it's a major source, so it's an operating permit, or if it's a minor synthetic or a minor, or if it's just a construction permit. But it does tell you the facility name, with the links to the information.
Is that public accessible or is that restricted?
Yep, it is public.
Okay.
Yeah, we could drop a link in the chat. That'd be cool.
All right, Dean or Ron, you want to talk about the hazmat plan review?
So, yeah, so we underwent, our annual hazmat plan update with the LEPC. I've sent that out and, it's gotten reviewed. I did incorporate all the comments. I sent it back to Glenn to take another look at, and so I don't think we can approve it at this meeting, but, we'll shoot it in for May. Just in case there's any other, revisions or anything to go through.
Does that have a deadline for the upcoming? No.
No,
It doesn't have to be approved by the field systems.
Okay.
Will you send that out to the whole membership? I don't
I
recall.
can, it's marked FOUO for official use only, so I didn't know what the protocols for that are, but I'm happy to do that.
Okay, maybe if we put in a request, then it can be vetted that way.
Yeah, I'll check on it, but I'm happy to send it to the whole group. I don't think there's anything top secret in there.
Actually, it's used it as part of our total plan for Sarah Title III emergency contingency.
Right.
It's always been a part of ours as a supplemental.
All right.
To that, so I would like, when it gets updated, I would like to have a couple.
Yep, that's fine.
Your access to it.
Yeah, I'll find out if there's any issue. Otherwise, we can do it on a request basis. But we'll double check on it. That's just how it has originally been marked. And so I'll find out what the distribution is requirements, but I'm happy to send it out.
Ron, did you want us to see if we can approve it with the changes that get incorporated today?
Let's put it on to another meeting.
Okay.
Just to give everybody a chance to really take a look at it. I don't think there are any additional comments other than what Dean already incorporated. I haven't looked at it since the comments. I just want to take a quick look at it and then we can just approve it. It doesn't really require, but part of our policy and our disaster management plan is that this group, the LEPC, is our review committee for our disaster management plan and some of our annexes. Basically, it's a captured group. And we have a lot of people from different, representing different agencies and facilities here. So we use this group as a review committee for that. So let's put it on the agenda for our next meeting for approval. And basically the approval is, it's not really an official thing. It's, I mean, I don't require the approval of this committee to incorporate that annex, but I just wanted, I want to incorporate feedback. Here.
Right. And recommendations for something to change.
We'll take it out of draft.
We could call it acceptance.
Yeah.
And it'll be good to go.
And where that becomes really important is East Palestine, Ohio is an excellent example of that, where, you know, at some point in time, the lawyers are gonna get involved and say, well, what was your plan for something like this happening? And who made the plan? Who approved the plan? All that other stuff. And frankly, the more input you have on the front end, especially with the people who have vested interests in the response and recovery, the better off you are. I mean, it's quite frankly, it behooves the county for us to be involved as the LEPC, and it behooves the community for us to be involved as the LEPC, because we look at it from different perspectives. And we can certainly see that if there's something that is in the plan that says, this agency is going to do this, and the agency says, no, we're not, then that's where we can address it. And same sort of thing. A lot of times the assumption is that our corporate partners are going to do one thing, and we find out that they can't or won't. There's an assumption that the government's going to do something that we find out later on that they can't or won't. You know, it all basically boils down to the generator in the long run. But in the meantime, you know, in the first 3 years of litigation, it sure makes a lot more sense to have people who are involved in the planning to be involved in the planning.
And I can tell you after the Palestine incident, I was getting phone calls from the public and Board of County Commissioners. You know, do we have a specific railroad response plan? Which we don't. Okay, so I don't have a specific railroad response plan for every rail line that runs through Colorado. But we have a hazard mitigation plan or a hazardous materials annex. This is a whole community annex that addresses hazardous materials. Not specific, we don't address it by chemical and by event, but the response and responsibilities are similar across the board. In addition to the railroads have response planners, we work with the railroad, we talked about some training earlier today. We work with those people. I would love to see some railroad reps on our LEPC, that'd be great. Dean's gonna try and recruit some people for us, as well as access and functional needs reps. We need to have somebody on our LEPC that is an access and functional needs rep, railroads, any of those kind of entities, you know, so we get more and more people involved in the LEPC function. The more the better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we do have Jeff from BNSF that's, he gave a presentation last year. He's on the list on for the LEPC, so.
You just gave one for Aurora's LEPC. It was very good. So I want to reach out to Emily.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from some of the other railroads as well, but.
Yeah, we only have just the two major.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then there's some private short line stuff.
Oh, RC.
Hey, Union Pacific's been tough with BNSF and stuff. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, we got a couple of little private short lines, but they're more storage than they are transported.
You have Great Western down here.
I don't think so.
Goes east-west, you welcome.
Trying to remember the name of the one that comes out of Commerce City through Denver into absolutely way.
Oh, I remember that one. That was good.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Rock Island.
If they're still in business under another name, I've done that frequently.
All right.
Okay, now let's table that for next time and then we'll,
Such a good
see if
memory.
there's any comments, go ahead with my office.
Okay.
Say it too.
I'm looking at you because you're looking at your watch. Oh, all right. You want to talk about changes in CSP hazmat?
There's just a few things. We have a new captain now. Captain John Hahn went to our motor carrier unit. So, Captain Sean Schlesman is our new captain now. We're partners with, Denver and the STC. So we have a bunch of new rad equipment and stuff like that. So if you guys have a large scale, event or anything like that, that you need us to clear or sweep, do any of that stuff, we have secondary screeners and all that, so it's called anything. And in May, we're hosting a tech class, hazmat tech class. So, if anybody that used to go to tech class or go to that, or our new classroom.
We need to go local before we follow up the state or
For what?
well, for equipment, for support. And since they're a state resource, do we need to go local and? Can we go?
I think, Ron, no matter how you request it, it's gonna be kind of a simultaneous thing, you know? Because all the hazmat teams are very closely linked. So it's, you know, where you would have to have a differentiation probably be a civil support team. That has to go through DHSC.
I can call it the eighth.
Yeah, but theoretically, it's supposed to go through DHSC as an official request. I mean, they allow us to call in the back door and prep them, but technically speaking, they are requested through DHSC.
That's
Department of Homeland Security.
It's the military unit, that you know who that is.
He was talking about rad equipment, secondary screening, the personal radiation monitors, personal radiation detectors program. There's a program right now through federal government Safer Cities. And one of their big emphasis is on radiation detection. And it's been around for several years that this has been kind of a high priority. It keeps bubbling to the top every once in a while. I'm not really sure why, but it tells me that it keeps bubbling to the top. So FBI and Homeland Security have some legitimate concerns about whether or not we're looking for stuff. So I know that there's gonna be some more screening classes coming in. There's gonna be some more equipment coming in. It doesn't impact our corporate partners or private partners too very much. It might impact some of the non-government organizations, maybe. Certainly would impact some of the facilities as far as if you wanted to have baseline numbers and things like that established so that, if there was an exercise that dealt with radiation or an RDD, a radiological dispersive device, you would have some background numbers so that you know what is normal in air quotes there. Those are always helpful to have because otherwise you're arguing with the 80-pound brain people that says this is not normal. Well, it's not normal for Washington DC, but it is normal for Colorado. So there's a lot of that goes on within the hazmat community. So if you hear radiation detection equipment, it is, like I said, it is a higher priority within the Safer Cities program, which is primarily a law enforcement side of things. But it's out there. They've been out there for some time. Like I said, it's come back up to the top of the heap again. So you can see some of that come in. I don't think that there's necessarily any specific threat that goes with it. I think it's just been one of those things that it's a concern at the federal level and they want to keep it addressed.
I also know the NCR Healthcare Coalition is working on some rad plans and also both that information on the health side, not so much the radiation detection piece, but there is some of that associated with it as well. So they're trying to get equipment and get plans in place for to address the radiological response.
USDA has been pushing on a lot as well.
Yeah.
My day job at the state in ag.
A lot of it comes down and East Palestine is a perfect example of after something happens is not the time to be deciding how clean is clean, how safe is safe. You know, those really kind of need to be decided before anything happens. So that when the community hears that this is the level that we're at, this is the level that we were at, so that they can compare the two, and I mean, it's really difficult, from a response standpoint, to convince the public with the government, with the lack of government faith that people have right now. It's really difficult to convince the public that what you're telling them is actually accurate and appropriate. So I think that's one of the things that we're gonna be working on in the next couple of years is doing more and more of that, where we can have baselines established for our response areas. So that should something happen, you can come back and go, this is what it was yesterday, this is what it is today. There is no substantive change here, so therefore, this is what we expect you to do. If you're shooting in the dark saying this is theoretically what should have been, and this is what we're finding now, then it's open to interpretation and becomes problematic.
Somebody had a hand up.
Oh, is there somebody's got a hand up?
Yeah, it's Neely Duran. I'll wait until you guys are done. I might not be able to stay on until 11. I just wanted to, when you guys were going through new business, I just had a quick comment, but I'll wait till you guys are done. My hand's been up for a little bit.
We're real close. Go ahead.
Are you sure? Okay. Well, thank you first for including me. My colleague Jay Petrilli had a conflict this morning. He covers all of Northeast Colorado as a damage prevention liaison with Colorado 811, including Adams County. I'm the Denver Metro damage prevention liaison. So I just wanted to let you guys know that we're a resource if anyone needs to, hear about the Colorado One Call Law or best practices. We're a nonprofit. All of our trainings are free. So if you guys ever, want to throw anyone to us that needs education or support or outreach, we are here for all stakeholders. And secondly, I just wanted to let you guys know that the 4th annual Trench Safety Summit is scheduled for Wednesday, October 4th at Adams County Fairgrounds. And this is a free event for any excavator or contractor in the area. We've sold out at 500 people, not sold out, it's free, but we've had 500 people RSVP. That's the limit that the Adams County Fairground, the facility, the dome that we're in can handle. But Colorado 811 is just one partner that kind of puts this on along with OSHA and NACSA. But it's a really great hands-on full day free event training, specifically around trench safety. So just wanted to put you guys, in the know for that, because it is open to everyone. The registration's not up yet, but the date has been set as Wednesday, October 4th at the Adams County Fairgrounds. And just, again, thanks for including us. And it'll be myself or Jay on these meetings moving forward. If you guys have any community events, safety fairs, anything you want Colorado 811 to be present at, please let us know, because that's what we do. That's what my team does, and we're happy to help in any way possible. Thank you.
Hey, Neely. All right, anybody else have anything for the good of the order? Mark?
First of all, informational. I do know that Colorado Division of Fire Prevention and Control has put in to the assistance to firefighter grants for 2 hazmat trailers. I don't know that they're looking at you guys to pull them around anymore, but they are looking at increasing the capability of hands-on hazmat training. I do have some new business, and I briefly talked to Dean about this after the CEPC conference. Glenn, you talked about with East Palestine, people asking questions about our response capabilities. I think we need to be a little more aggressive on the planning side as far as this group goes. We've heard today about community meetings for upcoming facility sites. It would be great if we had a subcommittee. And yes, I will volunteer to be on it.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Yeah, say it once. It's recorded. But I think we ought to have a subcommittee that attends public events like this when there's new facilities as representatives of this group, and get out in front of issues so that if something happens, first of all, we've been a part of the planning process as is required. And that as things progress and as they get into production, that the community can see us as a liaison between the community and facilities. And, you know, the elephant in the room, and I'm sorry that Chief Summers isn't here, but the elephant in the room is Suncor. It would be great if this group had a little more proactive interaction with the community, not whether or not they should be there. That's different organization, but what are we doing to prepare the citizens around Suncor should there be an incident? So that we're not, as an LEPC, put in the position of West Texas, where we go, well, we knew it was there, but we really, we relied on our locals to do the planning. Well, that works to a degree. So I'm just throwing that out there that I'd like to at least consider having a public liaison group from the LEPC that does go out to community meetings. And I know we're all busy and this will be nights and weekends on occasion, but I just don't see this as full-time. I just see this as an opportunity for us to interact and, truly be those representatives from both the private and public sector saying, hey, we're here to work with you to the community. So I wanted to throw that out there because I think as a group, we're doing a lot of good things, but we're missing, the third initial in our name in the planning process of working with the community and having those hazmat plans.
I agree, Mark, and the.
Wait, can you repeat that?
It's recorded. I agree, Mark, and it's one of those things that the LEPC is, quite frankly, uniquely positioned to be perceived as a non-biased entity. Because we do represent government, we do represent corporate America, we do represent citizens, we do represent homeowners, we do represent all of these other special interest groups, but we represent them equally. So as I said, I think the LEPC is uniquely positioned to be seen as a very should be trustworthy group and non-biased group as far as having special interest or hidden agendas. We really don't have any. We shouldn't have any. And certainly, if somebody has concerns, if they bring forward to the LEPC, then the LEPC should be the conduit by which it goes to the fire departments, goes to the law enforcement, goes to the Board of County Commissioners, goes to some of these other places. That's what we're here for. That's what EPCR wants us to be doing. That's what the mandate is. As Mark said, the LEPC, this planning committee, and yet really and truly, we don't do a lot of planning. And I don't necessarily want to get into the position where we're having to do planning because that's kind of transitioned over into offices of emergency management within the counties and the fire departments. And yet, I think there is an expectation from the community that those plans will have been vetted by someone. And if that means us, then so be it. So.
And that's not a criticism of emergency managers by any stretch of the imagination. It's that, anyone who understands environmental law knows that what you said is exactly the truth, that we're supposed to be that liaison between the community and the facilities, and that we do work hand in hand. And so as I agree, I'm not looking at us getting into the planning as far as writing plans. I do think we should be on the planning component of working with the communities and being that liaison at community meetings, understanding that we're representing the response agencies as well. So I just something I wanted to throw out there because as you see these events unfold, we've had 3 major train derailments in the last month, at least. Nothing like East Palestine, but somebody's gonna come forward and ask, like, as you said, what's our plan? Well, it's not that we have a specific plan for railroads. We do have a response plan. We do have a hazmat annex to our response plan. But how do we liaise with the railroads? And I think some of our agencies are really good about it. Some, you know, we're all busy. And so what gets put to the top of the list? And I think this helps at least the community feel that their voice is being heard somewhere that matters.
Like I said, I absolutely agree. In fact, I've talked with Dean, I've talked with Ron, I've talked to other board members. We have a one or two representatives from community, public reps on the board.
Mhm.
Is there one position or two?
Yep, and actually, Mr. Jackson is as well.
But is there one or two positions that are,
There's actually only one filled that I
One.
understand.
one filled, and I thought there was
There are
two.
two, there's supposed to be two.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that, you know, this is gonna sound weird, but I would encourage the squeakiest wheel, the most outspoken critic of all of us, to be a member of the LEPC. Because that way they get to have their say within this group of people, within this community, as opposed to waiting until something bad happens and then chastise us from the peanut gallery. So I've always been one of those people that's like, you know, let's be the conduit between industry and government and citizenry. And let's take the biggest critics and address their issues. And if we can't do it here, then we have some major problems. Whereas if we can, we're not gonna solve the problem. We're not gonna make Suncor go away. We're not gonna, you know, mandate that they